NBC Super Channel.
Sunday afternoon from NBC Supersports. At 2, the final day's play in the Senior PGA Tour's Greater Naples Intelenet Challenge, which this year has moved to a new home. The Classics at Leyland Resort, designed by Gary Player. Then at 4, NCAA basketball action with Pittsburgh and Notre Dame. And in the evening at 10, top off-piste thrills from freeboard, and at 1:30, real action skiing. Sport for Sunday from NBC Super Channel.
For super shopping, watch Super Shop. Join us tomorrow and every day for another great hour of home shopping.
You're watching NBC Super Channel.
Massive fraud. The fleecing of America. Tonight, a new report on the abuses of Medicare. The devastation in the Pacific Northwest. President Clinton personally delivering promises of aid. In presidential politics, Graham is out. Buchanan is getting a closer look as he stakes out his corner. NBC News in depth on this Valentine's Day. What's the price of love and relationships in the age of AIDS?
From NBC News, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. Medicare and fraud. Tonight there's a stunning report on how Medicare, one of the most important and generous programs in this country, is easy pickings for hospitals, doctors, and healthcare suppliers. This year, as the congressional Republicans in the White House are arguing about who's the real champion of Medicare, it is clear that while those political feuds are underway, Medicare is being ripped off. It's massive fraud. Today, a health industry executive went behind a shield to testify on Capitol Hill that Medicare fraud is widespread, especially when it comes to experimental medical devices. And as we learned from NBC's Roger O'Neill tonight, the system is practically custom-built for fraud, the fleecing of America.
Thousands of Medicare bills are being paid every day that should not be. For taxpayers, it's a tremendous waste. According to a new government study, as much as $2 million a day. Who's to blame? The General Accounting Office, the GAO, says it's sloppy management by the federal agency in charge of Medicare.
This is one of the big granddaddies of fleecing of America.
Republican Christopher Shays of Connecticut.
What has to be done, Congressman, to stop it?
It's a simple solution. Well, the bill comes in, you have a pre-screen, and the pre-screen knocks out all the absurd cases of the sprained ankle where you're doing a chest x-ray. We think we save anywhere from $200 to $500 million just by having this screening process in place.
The abuse is in the numbers, which the GAO says are too high. Last year, there were 9 million echocardiograms billed to Medicare. Pictures of aging hearts cost $851 million. There were 14 million eye exams for such things as cataracts, cost $686 million. And there were an astounding 34 million chest x-rays for a myriad of old age problems that cost Medicare $500 million. The GAO says the 3 procedures are widely overused.
The government audit of just a few thousand claims found 5% inaccurate. If they had been checked for medical necessity, more than $113 million in claims would have been rejected. The money saved.
The Federal Healthcare Financing Administration, HCFA, is supposed to be Medicare's watchdog, but it farms out to 29 private contractors around the country, mostly insurance companies, the job of paying what's called Medicare Part B claims. That's bills from doctors, outpatient hospital services, and medical equipment. The GAO blames the Medicare waste on the lack of a national strategy from Washington to screen out bad claims.
We don't believe that adopting GAO's recommendations would save money net. It's not rational to apply a single automatic cookie cutter to every claim everywhere in the United States.
But that's what the biggest private insurance companies in the nation are doing. Nancy Boyer, whose Equifax Healthcare sells the computer software to check claims, says the government could save too.
Minimally, $1.5 billion a year, without ever changing a benefit.
And the savings would pay back the $20 million cost of the system in just 10 working days. While most medical tests of the nation's elderly are legitimate, Critics charge without more aggressive screening of all Medicare bills, this fleecing of America will continue to waste hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars every year. Roger O'Neill, NBC News, Denver.
Still to come here on NBC Nightly News tonight, romance in the age of AIDS.
You need to protect yourself from sexually transmitted diseases, including HIV and AIDS.
How has it changed us? And love, American style, some surprising answers in depth tonight. And up next, deep pockets, the president's trip to the flooded Northwest.
On the Selena Scott Show tomorrow night, I'm joined by the award-winning journalist Mike Nicholson to talk about Bosnia. I'll be finding out about the revolution in digital home video cameras, meeting Petri Hoskin, who broadcasts from and to war zones, and hearing from Elkie Brooks, one of the most consistently successful British female singers ever. Join me at 7:30 tomorrow and every night on NBC Super Channel.
Every Wednesday and Saturday, Dateline International, the award-winning news magazine, revealing.
It's been called the airborne version of Russian roulette.
Adventurous.
They will need all their energy and all their courage for what's next.
Innovative.
Whatever Chindogu meant, it didn't mean practical.
International.
The cheetah is now a species running into trouble, running headlong into extinction.
Controversial.
To many, marijuana simply spells relief.
Informative.
The potential to wipe out heart disease, traced to this one remote Italian village.
Dateline International. Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8:30.
Electronic numerical integrator and computer, and it was hailed as an engineering marvel.
A giant electronic brain has started cogitating at the University of Pennsylvania.
Today, to mark the anniversary, Vice President Al Gore fired up the old machine one more time.
This is one small... No.
It's fairly primitive by today's standards. A pocket calculator has more computing power.
The original ENIAC had 18,000 vacuum tubes mounted in huge racks about the size of a house. A modern-day personal computer has a microprocessor which can contain 5 million or so transistors on a piece of silicon about the size of a dime.
The first microprocessor we shipped in 1971 was actually higher performance than the original ENIAC. Since that time, we've increased the performance of computers by thousands of times.
Way back when, Gordon Moore, one of the founders of the Intel Corporation, correctly predicted the rapid rise in computing power. But nobody foresaw the whole computer revolution that's turning our lives upside down.
This computer thing is just not panning out.
A tongue-in-cheek analysis from actor Tom Wilson, who's in an interactive computerized video game called Wing Commander 4.
It'll calculate numbers a little faster. Oh, whoop-de-doo. I think we should bail and go back to the abacus.
But we're not going back. The technology keeps moving forward at warp speed. By the time these kids are in their 50s, today's computers will seem as primitive as that old ENIAC.
Who knows? Someday a machine like this may check up on your income tax.
Nah, too complicated. George Lewis, NBC News, Los Angeles.
That's Nightly News for Wednesday. Tonight on Dateline NBC, it was billed as a weapon for police across the country. But what it failed to do may make you angry. That's a Dateline Consumer Alert tonight at 8, 7 Central. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you back here tomorrow night.
The world is now watching the NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. NBC News, now more than ever.